Hi, Andrew. How's it going?
Nigel, thanks so much for having me, and thanks so much for chatting. And yeah, really buzzing to sort of be talking about the music.
Absolutely. Well, I'm obviously, as you know, interviews editor at Louder Than War, and so we're going to do a little bit of a piece on Gustaffson and the video and all that sort of thing in you. So, yes, thanks so much for joining me. I believe you're in Colombia.
Yeah, it's 8 a.m. in the morning. I'm in a place called Cartagena. First time ever in South America, and yeah, just about used to the time difference, which is great. But I've got a nice strong Colombian coffee here
It's
to
wonderful
wake me up.
stuff, isn't it? I was
Oh,
there once a long time ago. It's another level of coffee, isn't it?
it's like nectar of coffee. Yeah, it's like you can sniff it and you wake up. Literally, you're like, whoa! Yeah, it's lovely stuff. We've literally just packed our suitcase full of coffee. I've like promised brothers, and yeah, it's lovely stuff.
I can guarantee that when you get the coffee home, it won't taste the same.
With the yeah, we're going to be having the September showers soon, aren't we? And I'm just going to be thinking of Bogota and Cartagena beaches. Yeah, it's not going to taste the same. You're right. You are right. When did you come? When did you visit Colombia?
Well,
When was that?
I daren't tell you because I used to be in the shoe business, and I went in 1990 or 1991. So that's about 2 or 3 years after you were born.
Oh
It
mate,
was a very, very different place, let me tell you.
yeah,
Felt
I
threatened.
bet. Yeah, yeah, I bet. And the human footprint since then, mate, has completely changed, hasn't it?
Completely different. So, how's it going? We're going to talk about Gustafson, the band, the tracks that you've recorded so far, your relationship with Elbow and Craig Potter and the band and everything else. But firstly, how's it going? How's it going with Gustafson? Because it's a project that's been around for a while, but it suddenly gained traction.
Um, to be honest with you, Nigel, like purely honest, like it's surpassed anything that I ever sort of thought. Like I just wanted to potentially maybe put some songs out there, and then the very fact that then Craig Potter just asks if he can do it, and then we record in Blueprint Studios, and then the Jacaranda who were writing the music about come on board um and like facilitate a whole EP launch at their place. And then we just happened to get Sue Johnson, which we'll talk about for a music video, and Barney Douglas, and yeah, and the response that we've had, everything. I'm even talking to yourself here now in a magazine that I'm a huge fan of. It's yeah, everything has surpassed this little kind of seedling of a thought of, oh, I'll just, you know, I want to kind of leave something of myself and put something out there.
Yeah.
The very fact that all these events have happened and sort of snowballed to this point now, yeah, it's amazing. Kind of pinch myself, and a really nice thing that my day job as an actor. It's a really nice thing that this is something I feel like I was there from beginning to now. Not that I was going to say the end. Then it's hopefully the
Yeah,
beginning.
but
But
just wait.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's us done. That's us done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a really like refreshing um, and pinch myself like experience to from then to now.
Did lockdown affect the coming together of the project? Because we were 2 years sort of not doing much.
I think the lockdown was the sort of genesis of like pushing the project to where we are. I think lockdown was the thing. So it's myself and Webbo, James Webster, who's my writing duo and lifelong friend. That was the point where I was out in Prague on a job. I was on a long running Carnival Row, is an Amazon series. And it was like the thing that I was like, do you know what? Like, if I'm going to do it, I'm gonna do it now. You know, I've luckily got songs that I've written since I was 18 at the Jacaranda, 16, maybe even earlier. And that sort of material, it's kind of now's the time where I was like, lockdown was like, okay, I think a lot of creatives had conversations with themselves, and my conversation was like, look, I want to take ownership of something. I want to say something, and if people want to hear it, they want to hear it. And luckily, to go back to your first question, the response has been that people want to hear it, and and want to hear more, which is really exciting.
There was a lovely feel. As you know, I went to the launch night, and there was a lovely feel in the Jacaranda, and lots of people who clearly knew Webbo and knew maybe from the previous band, or whatever, but or the genesis of the project. There was a lovely, lovely feeling in the room, wasn't there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that we were singing a song I wrote about the Jacaranda, which was, where I used to go when I was 16, 17, sit in a little booth with my full fat Coke and my little notepad. And the fact that, people are in the basement of the Jacaranda, which is, as you know, venues in the Northwest, and even, in Liverpool itself, it's a really has a special sort of timeless feel, that basement. And yeah, it felt really special.
Iconic.
And yeah, completely iconic. And it's one of those moments which you're sort of like, yeah, it's our first gig as a band, with Dave, Gleave, and Graham Bennett, and Mike Collins, and myself and James. That's the first time we played, and it just happened, our producer Craig Potter's in the audience, so we were all a bit worried not to make a mess of his songs, but it seemed to feel like a really special energy that night.
I had a brief chat with Craig outside. He was very humble. He sat down, and I was with a guy called Nev Cotty, who's also a singer and mutual friend. And he just introduced himself as the producer, which I thought was really, really nice and humble. And I said, I really love the way that at the Jacaranda, the track itself, you can't really pigeonhole the song, because although it's got elements of kind of Ed Sheeranisms in there, for want of a better expression, it's quite a unique track. And I was trying to explain this to Craig, me, humble Nigel from Louder Than War, trying to explain to the Elbow producer and keyboardist that what a wonderful track it was, and how I even sang a bit of it and then felt a bit daft afterwards. But it's a wonderful, wonderful track. And just tell me a little bit about the writing process and how that came about. You say it was written a long time ago.
Yeah, that was written a long time ago, like many a song. And I'm sure, as we've spoke about, you jam stuff out, and then those sort of ideas stick around, and they become little earworms, and you refer back to them when you're in the shower or on a bus or whatever. Usually for me on the train. But yeah, so we sort of, myself and James Webbo, we went to Coastal Sound Studios in Liverpool and just decided to do acoustic versions of these songs. The Jacaranda was one of those songs, and then that's what Craig Potter caught wind of. He saw a little video of it, and then the nice thing working with Craig, and I relate it to like the only experience I've had of working with somebody creatively like a producer is a director, I'd say, on a film set, and you can only offer suggestions up to them, but fundamentally Craig, the genius he is, he's playing with the sounds. So we had so many lovely discussions about the tone of the song and what I wanted to present, the sort of feeling timeless, but I wanted to make sure that we were always presenting something to an audience, especially with that song that felt like it was accessible for an audience. So and then the layers of the song, almost people find out as they keep listening to it, and that's exactly what he's done. The clubby feel, not being really able to place it, the little intro, which I think is genius, the jazz intro.
But the intro, like walking into a jazz bar, a
exactly
jazz club, and it's a bit upending because the song starts and then that bass line suddenly starts shooting off. It's amazing, isn't it?
Great. It is really, really, really great. And that was, again, just, Craig works better in the evenings, he says. So we would often get tracks at like 1 a.m. in the morning. And, you know, I'd wake up and, you know, try not to wake up the missus and run into the other room and stick it on my Sonos speaker and listen to it. And it's just that for me was a really exciting process. And, you know, very early on, he was like, you have any notes? We're going in the wrong direction. Just let me know. And myself and Webbo struggled to give Craig any notes because, you know, he totally...
There's a wonderful warmth and a playoff between the guitars and the bass when it kicks off. It's really, really, I don't know. There's a lovely warm feeling to it. I can't say any more than that. And the lyrics, every song that you write, and I don't know how you write the songs, I'll ask you that in a second, but there's a story behind them all. I was listening to Kingdom about, you know, who cares how much sand you've made, you know, those wonderful lyrical play that you've got going on, where I come away from a song and I've listened to a story, you know, and it's like that with the Jacaranda and on Kingdom and on the other songs as well. They're very, not wishing to blow smoke up your ass, they're very cleverly written, the lyrics.
Thanks. I'll take the smoke. I'll take it. Thanks, Nigel. Cheers, mate. Yeah. It's I think, that's why I did it, basically. You know, that's to tell a story. And what I like about stories is I like telling stories about potentially quite ordinary things, but trying to present them in extraordinary ways. Because I love the extraordinary and the ordinary. I've always been fascinated by that. Really have. And that's the beauty of the Jacaranda. It's basically 16-year-old me thinking that this venue is like, you know, in my head. I'm like, the Beatles were here. Alan Williams was in this booth. You know, Frida Kelly would sign little autographs for the Beatles, and, you know, her door would be stacked up with mail. Frida and the Beatles dancing until 3 a.m, you know. And that kind of element in the song, then handing it over to Craig and being able to present it in an extraordinary sort of complex way that really brings people in. And you know, I won't lie, making something maybe even sound a little bit commercial, and then you dig between the layers, and it's layer upon layer of the bass line. You know, you strip away the song and you hear the bass line, and that has a story. Or, you know, or the choir come in, the 40-piece choir come in, and they add an element to it. And I think that's I think, like, again, I always refer back to my day job. If the script's good, if the script is good, then every actor in the world wants to come and sign on to a job. So exactly, it all comes back to the script, right? And I think that should be with songwriting. It's like, you know, there's no surprise why Elbow and Craig are onto, I don't even know how many albums they've done now, but there's no surprise why these bands just keep going and going. Is because the scripts are good, the words are good, and you put everything on top of the words and the story.
Ability with words, doesn't it?
Oh, completely.
I mean, it's just something else, isn't it?
Sue Johnson and Marigolds is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite lines. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely, love it. I love it.
You were talking about making the sort of the normal special, the interplay between, you know, what is routine and turning it into a lovely story. And the video is very much that, isn't it? In that you have Sue sitting there in a council flat, and she's looking beyond her years, and then it just turns into this magical moment where she's being swept along in the dance hall. It's a fabulous video.
Yeah, I mean, the very fact that we, you know, I touched on it briefly, that we managed to get Sue Johnson in, and big kudos to our producer Kieran Sonia Sauer. Like, she went above and beyond to get Sue, and that was the thing. Sue Johnson, she used to party at the Jacaranda. That was the thing, you know. She that's why she came onto it. She wanted to do the video. It was like, you know, she felt the nostalgia of the song. She loved the song. And that concept, Bonnie Douglas's concept, is the finding that person who you would see on a street, and you think, oh, I mean, my mom says it to me. She says, you get to a certain age, Andy, she says, and people stop looking at you down the street. They don't even notice you. And I think that really, the video sort of touches in, like, we don't know what's going on in people's minds, when, and what about woman's envisaging in her life. And I think, the sort of the quirkiness of the video, but also the little message that Barney's,
completely uplifting, isn't it?
So beautiful and so well shot, like, and so nice that we got to shoot it in Liverpool as well. It was the Adelphi Hotel, and
is that
New Brighton there. So sweet. Like, everybody who came on board was so passionate about helping us, and I don't get to shoot much in Liverpool either, Nigel. So it was nice for me. It's nice for me to be down Bold Street for a coffee and then pop in, see my dad and everything. It was lovely.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, you didn't. Did you shoot Humpty fucking Dumpty in Liverpool?
We did. That's the only other thing I've shot. Yeah, that's the only other thing. Humpty fucking, and I had to, and they were my own projects. So, it's funny. It's funny. I just, I don't get to shoot much in Liverpool, as in my day job. But when I come to shoot my own projects, I make sure it's in Liverpool.
Yeah. And we, Stephen Walters, I believe, directed that as well, and he's got a remarkable eye, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. I'm surprised since then. Hopefully, Stephen will be directing something again, because he's got a true eye, and again, he really searches for the human feel in any project, whether he's acting himself or whether it's something he's written. I think his writing some of the best stuff I've read as an actor. Not even an actor, as an impartial reader. He's got a real eye. Yeah.
Just going back to the songs then, in the construction of the songs, is Webbo helping you with the musicality and you're concentrating on the lyrics, or is it a joint effort between the two of you?
I mean, like most sort of duo writing, Webbo provides a riff, a sort of feel to, I'm annoyingly, I don't play an instrument. That's the biggest, pet peeve I have with my parents is, where was my piano lessons as a kid? But Webbo provides a sort of, a feel to a song. And then, I'm purely just offering up lyrics. It's nice, actually. It's nice with, it's nice when we go so far back, me and Webbo, that it's that kind of relationship where if you're hitting a brick wall, or you're not getting anywhere, he can see it, and if he knows when I don't like a sound of his, and we'll move it on. But it's purely that. It's we like, with the idea of working with a producer, everything we kind of work on, we like to keep quite stripped back, and therefore you can then layer stuff on top of it. I think if a song works in its simplest form, then you can then take the song somewhere else and add, a bass line in, or a drum, or or some other vocals, or whatever it is.
You mentioned Craig Potter noticing your efforts, your demos or whatever, but there's a big difference between doing a demo on an acoustic guitar and somebody from Elbow getting involved with you. So there's more to it than that, surely. How the hell did Craig get involved?
How did he get involved? Bloody hell. Yeah, it was myself and Craig worked together on a film called Running Naked. So we did an independent film. Craig did the music for it. I told him nothing about my songwriting, but then I put a song out, just like, I think it was YouTube, I can't remember, and then I said, look, there's some songwriting I've been doing. I'd love to have a chat to you about sort of production. Like, myself and Webbo are thinking of maybe going into the studio again, acoustically. He called me up straight away. He'd watched the videos, 2 of our songs, and he outright offered his help and services. And I remember sort of trying not to fall to my knees in my kitchen, being like, what? Like, you know, because at that point, yeah, my beating heart, literally. Yeah. I tried not to tell Craig too much about that, but like, it was a very dramatic after phone call response of, you know, trying not to run around my living room. But yeah, it's quite nice that myself and Craig knew each other and got on quite well during Running Naked. But myself and Matthew McNulty were quite fanboy, but now that fanboy kind of attitude has had to, yeah, it's just a, you know, it's just a mate, you know, we text every now and then, you know, yeah, he's it's been such a pleasure working with Craig. And for me, I mean, I've been in a studio before, I've experienced it, but not to witness him work in a room and, you know,
Blueprint, wasn't it? Manchester.
It was Blueprint Studios, Manchester. Yeah. And it was 2 weeks. And it was incredible. Just the whole process. 2 weeks out. If we get to go in a studio again, great. But if we don't, that was, I mean, what a 2 weeks. What a 2 weeks we spent, you know.
And we mentioned before about David Gleave, but he was meant to be your photographer for the project and then ended up playing bass. Is that right?
Dave met me to take some photos of the Jacaranda, just as we were sort of doing some concept art for the EP. And our bassist had, well, our bassist was non-existent basically. And I told Dave this over a coffee, and Dave said, I play bass. I was like, oh. And he said, would you mind me sort of coming for a jam? Yeah, I mean, and then we never went back. I mean, as you know, like his bass line. What the beautiful thing about the project is as well, knowing Dave, I've known him for so many years, and I've always loved his work as a photographer and knew he was a great musician. Yeah. Graham Bennett is Webbo's brother-in-law who plays drums. Obviously, Webbo's my lifelong friend. 40-piece choir, we got in my uncle's choir. All these components that we brought into the studio, yeah, which Craig, to his credit, managed and produced and made sure they fitted together and really worked the musicians hard, which is good for them. What an experience for them. Brilliant. As well as me. But that was the beauty of the EP is, yeah, like bringing people like Dave and Graham and my uncle's choir, Haydock Male Voice Choir in. Isn't it? Yeah, it's a family. Which sort of translated back to the Jacaranda as well. It felt like that on the evening. Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. Acting or singing?
Acting, I find more. I was trying to find the word for this the other day. Acting for me is a bit like. I'll never sort of find the answer. Music makes me feel like a kid again, and I kind of. And because acting has, after 12 years, I've been doing it, become my day job. I kind of want to keep music like the freshness. So both. I can't say one or the other. Basically, they're like they're like, it's like wearing jeans and shorts. You know what I mean? It depends what weather it is. You know, it's like,
I know you're in Outlander for a while, and my friend Stephen Walters, a friend of mine who we both know, we spoke about. He was also in there as well. They have a massive fan base, so the Outlander fans will be following you around like crazy, right?
I mean, that might be responsible for most of our downloads, to be honest with you. So big thank you to all of them. Yeah, they really do. Similar to Humpty Fucking Dumpty, the thing that myself and Stephen did. Yes. They back whatever you do. And I have no idea of the sort of beast of what that Outlander fan base actually is. But yeah, they've been amazing with this. Probably will help when it comes to if we do any more live gigs. But yeah, and it's actually really nice. What's been nice about when you talk about the acting and singing, which I need to probably get better at that answer. when whether acting or singing. Should probably stop comparing it to wearing shorts and jeans. But it's been nice that a lot of the people from that world have actually. I mean, a lot of people have been like, Andy, like, why are you releasing music? I've not really told many of those people. But a lot of the composers I've worked with, Ben McCreary, Nathan Barr, so Bird is the Outlander music, and he's just done the new Lord of the Rings, and Nathan did Carnival Row, and the great, like, both incredible composers like Craig. They've been, I'd say, unbelievably supportive, and it's amazing, amazing sort of world to sort of that those people who have been doing it as that's their day job. They've taken time to listen to what I've done and have offered support, and it's incredible to sort of have that response from within the acting day job.
Must be connecting the two worlds.
Must
be great.
Exactly. Amazing. Yeah.
Who are your musical heroes, Andrew? I know you're a big Beatles fan, but
you mentioned it with the Beatles, the Doors. Obviously, love Ocean Coliseum. Love a songwriter. I mean, weirdly, myself and Craig, myself and my brothers, we've never had such a mournful household as to when George Michael passed that Christmas. We were, secretly all growing up huge George Michael fans because my dad was huge. And weirdly, myself and Craig had so many chats when I was referencing songs just about the pure the position of his work. I mean, I always talk when it comes to songwriters, and the Beatles are exactly the same. But I just kept referencing George Michael, and Craig was like, "God, I've never heard about George Michael so much in a studio." But it was the pure fact. It was the pure fact of presenting a song maybe in a commercial way, or not giving the audience everything they want. Like I think there's a huge thing in the world right now where we want to spoon feed audiences, and they need to know exactly what it's about, and the song needs to match the mood. And I couldn't disagree with that more. And I always use this line of like, don't kill the mystery. And I think that guy really nailed that and went and wrote with meaning, and sort of a world that he maybe shouldn't have been in, winning Moby Awards and all that stuff. But George Michael's one of them as well. But it all comes back, really, to be honest, Nigel, to the Beatles. Like yourself, I think everything comes back to the Beatles. We were talking about Stephen Walters. He's a massive Beatles fan. He'll tell you the track listing of the White Album from beginning to end. That man knows more about the Beatles than anybody I know. And Dave Gleave. And Dave. I actually think Stephen's in charge of the Beatles Wikipedia page. If I'm honest with you, mate. That's how. That wouldn't. And honestly, he's. They're like encyclopedias then too on the Beatles. I just think it's it's an example of just writing stories, isn't it? It came back to this and how they present their stories. I've always had a soft spot for Harrison. His lyrics in particular, the sort of I love the pure simplicity of his work. I think his work is so beautifully simple, and his lyric. I wouldn't say the music's simple. I'd say the lyrics are simple. I'd say that they're kind of efficient, and I love something about his efficiency and playing on words and stuff. Yeah,
I know Dave's a big fan of All Things Must Pass, the big triple album. It's an amazing album. So.
I just had it on last night here. All Things Must Pass. Yeah. Just had it on. What a song!
Do you know a band called Carter, the Unstoppable Sex Machine?
No.
Well, listen to "We've Got It in Spades." I'll just leave that one with you. When you rewind this video and watch it on YouTube, you'll pick up on what it is. We've got it in spades by Carter USM. It's a fabulous song. Talking about story songs and the way they actually tell stories in songs. It's something else. Okay. Well, now can we look forward to an album and a tour to support the tracks then when you're back from Colombia, you know?
When I'm back from my Colombian wedding. Yeah, not my Colombian, a friend's Colombian wedding.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that would be the plan. That's our intention. It's facilitating that. I think it was so mad. We've been on this since sort of February, March, and my head's been going. I'm on an acting job at the moment until January. Was on one whilst I was in the studio. So it's been a mad time. And I think when I get back from Colombia, with myself and Webbo will sort of come together again and speak to a few people who may facilitate an album. But as I say, it's all very new, and it all feels very exciting. So it's like, yeah, if I was to sit here and say that's what's going to happen, I'll be lying. But I think that's definitely the intention. We need to gig more. I've got tons more stories to share if people want to hear them. And that's definitely our intention. Yeah.
That's great. So you've got the bedrock of something truly special with that EP, the songs on that EP and the Jacaranda, the video, the support of Guy Garvey, who I know has played your tracks on his radio show as well. So from where I'm sitting, it looks like it could be quite a rosy future for you.
Thanks, Nigel. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's and to speak to yourself, who I know lives and breathes music, and just that's sort of what you do it for, isn't it? It was a very odd experience the night before the EP actually came out. Myself and Webbo called each other and were like, God, so this whole excitement, actually people are going to listen to this music. We kind of forgot that, like, people will listen, and it was open for, I guess, judgment and what is this, and being a new band and they're not kind of coming from left of field. That's to hear that people have enjoyed the sort of beginnings. It's really exciting, and because music is so personal, and everybody sort of has an opinion on music, just like football and the arts. So it's been amazing. It's been amazing to share music, and hopefully we'll get to do that again.
That's brilliant. Well, it's been wonderful to talk to you. I do apologise for waking you up early in Colombia. I didn't quite realise it was going to be so early, so apologies for that. But I wish you so much success with this project, because I think it deserves to be heard. We're going to obviously publish the video and some of this on Louder Than War as well. So I just wish you well. I think, it sounds like it's going to be amazing. It deserves to.
Thank you so much for all your support, and and hopefully we'll get to chat again soon. And thank you for coming down to the Jacaranda as well.
It was a pleasure. Great pleasure. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Cheers. Thanks, Nigel. Cheers, mate. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.